Hello everyone. Well, when Mike is working on the cottage, I'm going to be taking on a couple of the smaller restoration projects we have lined up to make the cottage look a little bit more period correct, keep it with the 1920s feel. So one of the first projects we are going to tackle are these super awesome doors that we got for the front. You can see here, a little rough. About 100-year-old doors. They're gonna look great once finished up. You can see there's still some residual paint. Somebody has attempted stripping them once, but never got around to finishing it. So we're gonna do that, get them stripped, get them sanded, get them re-stained and finished. So I got one over here already that is stripped and sanded, ready for stain. So I just want to walk through the process a little bit for folks that don't do this often, getting into restoration a little bit, how I like to go about it and tackle a project that may seem a little daunting. So the first step, we were fortunate enough that a lot of these doors still had hardware. You see a little bit, little hinges left here and there. And this hardware is really awesome brass hardware. A little stuck, so it's gonna make it interesting getting out. But before I strip, I like to take all the hardware off and label it for the door and label out all the positions. So we'll polish up the hardware, make a shiny brass, stick it back on the door. I'll show you a little bit the method there. Take your bag, label it, and then I like to label each piece of hardware as I'm doing it, and one of my tricks is use little bread ties, different color bread ties, and mark different positions out, as you can see there, with different numbers. It's going to be hidden under the doors, under the hardware once you get going, but see there's a number 4 tucked in there. Once we get these re-stained, finish back out, and the hardware all polished, we can put them back and it's going to look awesome. So as for refinishing, we got to get that old paint off. So you got to be kind of careful with old paint. As always, test it. Make sure you're not dealing with something that's super lead based. Some of this old stubborn paint can be a trick to get off. Sanding it can work when there's just a little bit, but usually at this point, this one's still got some pretty good paint on the edges, so I'm gonna have to strip this one first. My favorite lately has been the citrus strip, a little safer too, and it seems to work pretty well in all the projects that we've been doing lately. So we're gonna get to it. I'm gonna get this hardware off, label everything up, put some stripping gel on there, let it sit, and we'll get this old paint off there, and then we'll start sanding it down. Let's get to it. So we are checking in on our stripper. Sat for about a half hour. You can see it working a little bit there. See the paint's starting to kind of bubble up. That's what you're looking for. Getting a little bubbly. I try to scrape a little bit off the top, but looks like it's being a little bit stubborn. Looks like we're just scraping the top layer of paint off the green, but that kind of happens on these projects, so probably have to do a couple rounds of stripper to get off this pretty stubborn paint. I kind of see why the last person gave up likely, but no fear, we will get it off somehow. So we'll keep on at it.
Okay, back to work on the cottage. So I've been working on these doors me and Tina for a while. So these we picked up probably about 4 or 5 years ago. Got a really good deal on them. They're from a house around teens, 20s. The story is that it was in North Carolina, and they were widening a highway, and they were going to demolish the house. So the family stripped out what they could, and from one of the family members, I bought these two beautiful Douglas fir doors.
After a lot of work from Tina stripping them, I've got them sanded down and I'm about ready to stain them.
Okay, this is 3 coats of spar varnish. Sanding in between coats. Took a few days, but really like how it looks. Gotta clean the glass still, but guess the next step is to get them hung.
Okay, so I lost the footage of me building. This is a transom window that's going to go over those doors. And just to apologize for some of this video, it's a little choppy because this project took like 4 years total to do. So I know we lost some clips in the meantime, but this is the best I got to at least show you something of what I did to build this transom.
Okay, finally back to work here on the cottage. I've been doing some work off camera, fill you guys in on what I've done. So when I originally painted the building, I'd always intended about this slightly darker color for the trim, just so that the trim pops a little bit on the building. I've gotten 1 coat on most of it. This one I just did a 2nd coat, and then I just finished repairing the door frame. So here's the original doors, not much left of them, and there wasn't a ton left of the original door frame. So I recased it. I test hung the doors before I stained them, and then here at the bottom I had to graft in pieces on both sides, and behind this there's also new pieces that have been grafted in. But the new doors are slightly narrower, and I'm incorporating a transom. So I've framed in a transom, nice piece of cedar there on the top, should match pretty good. And then the rest of it's done in pressure treat. So it's all getting painted anyway, so you won't be able to tell. Alright, I still have to do the first coat on the door frame and this window. I think that looks pretty good. Really like the style of the doors. It's a lot of work to get here, but they're up. They're not perfect. Nothing on the building is. This is just some of the pitfalls you fall into when you are working with all salvage stuff in an old building. But I think I need to adjust the bottom right hinge if we're looking at it like this. Kick that bottom of the door in a hair more. But yeah, I don't think it looks bad at all. Tinkles. This is one of the barn cats, Tinkles, who's been keeping an eye on the cottage, keeping the mice out of it, right? Right. Anyway, so I installed these jam stops the other day. They're made out of original siding from the cottage. Oh, there's another cat back there. Oh, hey, thanks. Alright, anyway, so, working on lock sets. And luckily, I was able to get this. This is a really nice door set. It's, I would say, 30s, 40s. New old stock, never been installed. And just in beautiful condition. So this should be very appropriate for the building. It's probably a little fancier than what would have came on here, but we're kind of doing the building just a hair fancier than it was the first time. So I've never installed this kind of mortise-in lock set before. I don't know if it had a template. I couldn't find one. So maybe they probably weren't as big on templates as we are now. But anyway, I got this cut. There you go. You can see the mortise I've got cut in there. It's a pretty good fit. Not so there you go. I got to cut now holes for the handles. The handles will go through the door. And since I don't have a template, I used measurements, so we'll hope we're good. We're going to start off small and work our way up. Right, Tinkles? Okay, so it's the next day after I hung the doors, pouring down rain, but I had a project that I could do with it pouring down rain. The last part to these old antique doors are these beautiful little stops, I guess, or jambs, and then the pin comes out the bottom. I got to build a threshold for up here, but you could see the top one. Let's see. So here's the, and I have the original plates. I have two of these original ones. So it's a little swollen because of the rain, but there you go, and it works. But unfortunately, we have an issue. My beautiful restored doors now have huge chunks chewed out of them. So we have a problem here with groundhogs, and they live out in this front field. They dig holes that my tractor falls into, and they chew up my building. So that groundhog has just signed his death warrant. After all that work, they looked good for like a day before this groundhog decided to chew them up. So I took a pot shot at him yesterday. I don't know if I hit him. I hope I did. But if not, I am going to make sure that he goes away. So I don't know what I'm going to do for this. I think the best thing I could do is some kick plates. I'll put find two brass kick plates and put them on the bottoms of the doors. That's the best I can do, unfortunately. But 2 steps forward, 1 step back, always. But I do like this door hardware. New old stock. It's beautiful. It's well made. You can't get stuff like this anymore. But I was looking at the original doors. So here's the strike plate. It's identical to the strike plate that I just installed. So I have to assume that these doors actually had a very similar lock set to the one that I just installed. You can see this is the pocket for the original, and it's mortised in about the exact same size. So I have to assume that I got it pretty close. There's not much left here of any original hardware. That strike plate's it. And as you can see, exact same strike plate, just really nice as opposed to old and rusty. But all right, well, that'll do it for this one. Thanks everybody for watching.